So there are two ways to do this question. The first one would be to just plug in a values, meaning pick a value for n. So here I'll pick n to be 2, because remember this ends in n plus 1 here. So I'll just have to add these first two terms. And I can pick any set of numbers that are in arithmetic progression. So a1 could be 1, a2 could be 2, and a3 is 3. So in that case, I make a sum of this first. So root 1 plus root 2 plus 1 over root 2 plus root 3. And I need to just add this and then plug these values in and see which one matches. So I have to still rationalize this, multiply it by the conjugate. So you'll see the denominator becomes 3 minus 2 is 1. And same thing I'll do here, root 2 minus 1 over root 2 minus 1. Again, denominator would become 1, top is root 2 minus 1. And then I add it to root 3 minus root 2. You'll see it reduces to root 3 minus 1. Now I need to go through these answer choices and see which one matches with this value, because it has to be true for all values of n. So here, just be careful that n is 2. So the first choice becomes 2 over square root of 1, and then this would be square root of a3. So it's 2 over 1 plus root 3. Again, I rationalize it. Denominator would become 3 minus 1. And that's 2. So I do match with our answer. So that's a possibility. Sometimes you'll get multiple choices that would work. So that's why you have to go through all of them. And minus 1, that would be n is 2. So that becomes 1 over square root of 1. And then this will be a2, which is square root of 2. Clearly, that's not going to work out here, because it would be just root 2 minus 1. So that one is out. This one is n is 2, a1 is 1, minus root 3. So this actually will be negative, because root 3 is greater than 1, so we don't even need to compute this. And then finally, that one would be 1 over that same, actually no, this is square root of 1, easy to get confused. This is square root of 2, so this is 1 over root 2 plus 1, which again won't work, because this would be 2 minus 1, 1, and that doesn't match with that. So our answer choice A is the correct answer. So you can take this approach. I mean, you can often do that with some of the sequence type questions where they're asking you to test a general sum. Now, the general way of doing this is to, once you see these forms, immediately you're thinking about the conjugate of these terms. So you multiply and divide by the conjugate of the denominator here. And what that will do is it will make the denominator a2 minus a1. Numerator remains the same. We do the same thing for the second term, and that would become root a3 minus root a2 over a3 minus a2. And if we did the third one, it would be square root of a4 minus square root of a3 over a4 minus a3. And if we do for the last one, where we'd multiply it by square root of a sub n plus 1 minus square root of an, that would become square root of a n plus 1 minus square root of a sub n over a n plus 1 minus a n. Now note, because they're in an arithmetic progression, these two are, or these denominators are all the same. They're equal to d. a2 minus a1 is d. That's the definition of arithmetic progression, so on and so forth. So I can now add the numerators, and you'll see when you add them, these terms will drop out. All of them. You'll just be left with that piece and that. That means the numerator, you would be left with that divided by d, which is the common difference. Now, if you look at the answer choices, they're written in terms of a sub n plus 1. So I need to relate the n plus 1th term here to the first term. And in an arithmetic sequence, a sub n plus 1 would be first term plus the common difference times, here would be n plus 1 minus 1. That's your index here. So that means that a sub n plus 1 is equal to a1 plus d times n. And so D is a sub n plus 1 minus a1 over n. And I can plug that in here. And that becomes a sub n plus 1 minus a1. N goes in the numerator. Now this again I can write as a difference of squares. So this is a sub n plus 1 square minus square of square root of a1. And then I write it as a difference of square, and you'll see that term will drop out. Let me actually write it down in steps. I mean, I'm just saying it verbally here. Minus square root of a1, and then we'll get square root of a sub n plus 1 plus square root of a1. These two will drop out, and I'll finally be left with this, which does indeed match with answer choice A. So it is a hard question if you had to kind of just do it with algebra. Depends how quickly you can do this. I mean, of course, I'm explaining the steps here, but you should be able to do it reasonably quickly. But I think the hardest part in this question is to get to this point and then try to match it to the answer choices exactly. So you can take this approach. I mean, this is hard, and I would probably set this question aside to the end after I've exhausted all the other easier questions. And you can, of course, take this approach as well. If you don't feel comfortable doing it for this question, make sure you practice it with other similar question types and see if you can get to the answers by plugging in, especially when you have the choices here. So to summarize, the answer is A.